Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Alrighty, it's week 3 on the Titan Prize builds, and we're getting a late start on Monday because I spent early part of today putting together the latest thrilling chapter of the Agora Optimus Prime build, and I've uploaded that, so now we're getting ready to get back to the work at hand here. Now, all of these have sat over the weekend. They sat in their own, stewed in their own juices, and now I need to do a bit more cleanup on them, obviously, and we will start the ever-loving process of doing the body work, what needs to get done. The thing about letting epoxy cure like this for a good long time is that you can pick it off a lot easier, the overflow, rather than trying to wipe it down at the time. If you wipe it down at the time, it smears. But if you let it set up, you can get underneath it with a blade and pop it off, which is the stage I'm at right now. So what I'd like to do is clean up some of this that needs get cleaned up, and then do a round of body puttying and letting that set overnight so that we can start the process. Now, I have a tendency to rush the puttying and not letting it completely cure before I spray it, which is not good. That's not a good, healthy practice. So I'm going to be moving a little bit slower on this. So I'm going to let everything... I'm going to putty a bunch of stuff, and then I'm going to let it sit before I start sanding it, because what happens is I sand too much of it away, and it's as if I never put any on to begin with, which doesn't really serve anybody's purpose. I'm continuing to pick off some of the dried epoxy here. Be careful not to slice into my fingers at the same time, or slice me back into my hand. So talking and wielding an X-Acto at the same time can be a dangerous combination. Now, you remember last time we lit this thing up, it glowed like a Christmas tree around all these lights, and it's going to be a genuine trick to see if I can paint all of these and get the light blocking done mostly from the outside, because the inside of the printed piece was not easy to get to where the windows were. So I could not slide any light blocking in around those. Thank you, sir. So it's going to not be very exciting stuff to watch, but I'm just going to do a round of it, and then I'll check back in with y'all. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is Tuesday. Welcome to another very unsexy round of puttying and sanding. Yay! Puttying and sanding. Tell me more. No, it's really it's boring. No one wants to see it. I've been puttying, sanding, spraying a little bit of gray paint over the seam that I've sanded, because that is still the best way to tell what needs cleaning. This translucent resin that this was printed in can be very deceptive when you put particularly a clear 1 minute epoxy, or the mixed up epoxy. When you put that on there, it creates a bead, but you don't know whether you're seeing the clear bead of the epoxy or whether you're actually seeing a gap between two spots. So that's why you kind of have to level everything out with a spray of gray paint. It'll show you what's a gap and what's an edge. As a result, I see that I have a gap right in here, and the compressor agrees. Yeah, you're right. I should just turn it off when I'm getting ready to film, but I don't think that way. Where was I? But anyway, this showed me where the gap between these two parts was not closed up. So I've taken some black tulip, applied it into that gap, and I'm just wiping off around either side of it. And that's going to allow that to be clean. Now this side came together very clean, but I also had that same problem because I couldn't tell where this was spilling out over the top. So what that's allowed me to do by putting a spray on there is seeing where the gap was. I might actually have to go back in and rescribe some of that. But I can see one more spot here that has since dried that I need to put a little bit of the black tulip in, and I'm just using this wonderful applicator to just squeeze some out, and then I'll let it sit for a couple of minutes and then take a wet Q-tip and just wipe off both sides of it, and that will give me a nice filled in seam that will also be light blocked. And as we know, we've got a ton of light blocking that's going to happen around these windows. Now, these seams here, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to close off from here over and from here back, but leave this open, obviously, for that orange light to come through. So, this I need to pull together a little bit more. I can put a little bit of CA in there and kind of clamp that up. And I'm just going around on the saucers doing that. I'm going down the rim, the edges of the cells, spraying them and seeing where the seams still need to have putty put on them and cleaned up. There are, like I said the other day, there's a lot of detail on those nacelles that I'm going to have to try to paint back in, because as I file over them, I'm obliterating a lot of the detail. But that's really a shame to lose all of that. But I can't really get, in and around each little thing. It's going to be easier for me to sand it and then maybe try to add some of that detail back rather than preserving it whilst I'm sanding. So that's what I'm doing today. I really need to at least mow the backyard this morning before it gets too hot. So I'm going to go do that now and then be back at it this afternoon. Back, everybody. It's Wednesday morning. How the heck are you? I'm feeling much better these days. And thanks for asking. And I am absolutely in love with this New Worlds paint. This is what the paint we used at Wonderfest for the Marauder. And I wanted to check because I initially wasn't a big fan of the paint because of how it went on. But I noticed after you let it dry for a while that it set up. And I thought it was kind of runny when you put it on. But when you let it set and dry, it dries to a nice, even finish. This is one of those paint and primers. You don't have to prime underneath it. You just paint. And I didn't believe the hype when I heard it. But then after I was watching it at the Wonderfest, watching people use it on their Marauders, I did notice that if you let it dry and came back to it, the finish was much better the longer you left it. So I wanted to try that on this kit. I wanted to try the black because I knew I needed to spray a light blocking coat. So I've been light blocking the smaller ship here, and this is a marvel. It's a marvel. It goes on very smooth. You can still see some of the windows there. Now this is not any of the top coats. This is just a base black coat. And it's doing a wonderful job. One thing it's pointing out is where I need to put, there's a crack right here, or a seam that wasn't filled. I need to put some tulip in there. That's an easy fix. But when you see how effectively this light blocks the saucer, particularly, I mean, that's amazing. You remember how bad it needed light blocking before. Now all of those windows I can scratch off and it'll be amazing. It'll be very clean. But look at even out to the rim, to the bottom of that. This is just an amazing product for that light blocking, and it's not something I was afraid I was going to have to go to a big rattle can to spray a black coat on this. So I wanted to try this first, and like I said, I'm just in love with it. I'm going to do the big one now, and that's going to be the real test because of how bright the saucer rim lights are, and I'm going to have to see if it's going to need more than one coat. But the secret to this stuff is you spray it and you walk away, you let it do its magic, and then you come back and see if you need to spray any more. Yeah, this is I'm feeling all kinds of much better about it now. Let me put this one bit of tulip on here and then pull this off of the table and bring in the big one, and we'll spray. We'll give it a good coat of black. Okay, the big ship has been done, and we're gonna let this first coat dry. But look at that. I mean, we can see some around the edge here, some of that needs a touch up. But when you think about where that started, man, that's a good light block. And like I said, I have not even put any of the top coats on this yet. So I have wonderful high hopes about this. We're going to let this sit dry a good long while. We're going to leave, I'm going to take the lights off of it, but then we're going to let it dry. Then I'll come back, hook the lights up to it again, and just touch up the spots I think that where the light is still shining through. But that's a good, yeah, really happy with that. Now we can start mapping out the gray areas and the dark gray areas and the lighter gray areas, all of the grays. All right, I don't know if you remember how much light was blaring out of those holes before, but that's some very effective light blocking, my friends and neighbors. That is some very effective light blocking. So I'm going to plug the base of the secondary hull in and see if there are any remaining light leaks that I need to patch, give it a second coat to. But other than that, we are very happy with this, and I'm going to set this aside because now is the time has come to start mapping out some of the areas that get a dark gray. Then there is a medium gray, then there is a very light gray. Those are the three main colors on this ship. And we're going to start mapping out the big areas. Now they all get variations. I mean, there's some texture on each of them, but primarily there are three main colors. Let me take you over to the house of reference for that. Okay, as you can see from this picture of Bill's Enterprise on its back, there are three main areas of gray. This is a dark gray with a light gray highlight. This is a light gray with some texture. This is this is also a medium gray. This area here I'm going to call very light gray. Then there's medium gray, which is this, and then there's dark gray, which is on the nacelle, the pylons, and the nacelles themselves. This is also dark gray with a medium gray highlight. So what we're going to do first is we're going to paint the darkest gray, and then we're going to work our way forward from that. I'm going to put the dark gray on the nacelles and on that bottom plate, and then we're going to start worrying about how to mask out and start massing in some of these lighter gray colors. Here's probably the best reference for the nacelles. There is a darker gray here, a darker gray here, and then a darker gray under here. And then we have the lightest gray in between all of that. This is on that CG reference that I was talking about that speaks to the same issue. I think we could see it maybe clearer here. Here is your medium gray with texture. Here is your dark gray with highlight. Here is your darkest gray here, and then a medium gray here as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to start dark, and we're going to work our way towards the lightest. Let me see. There's the side view. And then we can see the three areas that are on the nacelles, and then this line. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint these basically, and then we're going to mask them off so that we can progress to the next lighter color. Okay, here you can tell now obviously this piece is not on yet. That's why we're seeing light leaks around it. But this is all very nicely closed up. So what I want to do is to start spraying the darker grays on here, and I think we're going to go with a German gray for the darkest of all, and then we will Yeah, we'll start with the German gray for the darkest. Hey everybody, it's Thursday. It's the gateway to the weekend, and I am working on templates for the Titan. And how well these go and how quickly these go will determine how much painting I actually get done this week. We're in a really good spot, I think. We're starting strong with the big impulse engines there. I am working on protecting certain raised plates that we can go ahead and paint like these guys. Go ahead and paint those and then protect them from the lighter coats of paint that will happen on top of them. And you can see got the engines on or the impulse engines on top and bottom. Now this area that's covered with the yellow is supposed to stay this darkest gray. This will get a lighter gray on top of it, and what you'll do is you'll just mask off the whole engine. Actually, the way I've got it planned, the next light gray plate will go over everything. We'll start by protecting everything that's supposed to stay this color of gray, not the black, the dark gray here, which is these three raised plates. There are 2 plates here, and there's a bunch of stuff here that stays gray. And if we could protect those from the next lightest color that we'll put on top of everything, then we'll protect everything that's supposed to stay that color from the nearly white coat. And we're going to do that top and bottom. And then we'll move over to, I'm also working on the pylons and the nacelles at the same time. There is I forgot to paint it yesterday, but there are gray shapes that go on in here, and then this stripe here stays a dark gray. So I'm making masks for that now. Let me see if I've got, this is the second round on this one. Let's see if I've got this shape nailed down. It was a little bit short last time. Yep, that's the right length now. So this would stay that darkest gray, and then this area up in here gets a lighter gray painting over top of it. But now we know that both of those work. Let me double check. Even though I do one side and then I flip it, I mirror it, sometimes it doesn't mean it's going to fit. You would think that if something were mathematically mirrored, that it would also fit, but sometimes that's not the case. And this time it is. Yay! So we've got both of these areas masked. Now, there is a set of what I'm calling the E's. There are triple E's that go on the inside of here, and they're not that clean or neat in the original art. And I basically neatened them up a little bit, made them a little bit more mathematically correct, thickened up some lines, and I strictly did that for ease of cutting and also ease of application. There's one here. Let's see if I can pull this off in one shot to show you. This goes on, this whole shape goes on this panel. Whoops, let's do this in camera. Let's turn the camera this way. There you go. This whole shape goes here. And this is kind of where the facets of the printing help, because it gives me an artificial line to line up here. But now that that's down, I pull out the all that stupid thing had attached. But you can see the pull out the shapes there. This shape actually jumped up and attached itself to the bottom, so I gotta get that one off. Might have to scrap this one and replot it. No, it came off. Okay. So now we flip it back over. Come on. Might have to cut here. Oh, there we go. There. It goes like that. And then there's a couple more shapes that follow this, follow all the way down here, but I need to paint some gray behind that. But that's the kind of work I'm doing this morning, and that will tell us. Again, I've just plotted these new ones. Let me see if these fit. The first ones did not. Let me see if these ones do. Huzzah, that fits, and then we'll do, I got 6 of these, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. Morning everybody, it's Friday. It is the last work day of the week, last work day on the Titan Prize week 3. I gotta tell you, I know you're saying after Lou, you don't look like you've done a lot this week, and I have to tell you, I'm upset with how little I've got done myself. I was really hoping to get more done, but I've been doing a lot of tedious computer work, getting masks cut for all of these and designed for all of these areas. I'm hoping that today I'm going to be able to apply some of these, and we will see the next lighter coat on both of these ships. I kind of was bouncing back and forth, and I needed to stop that. I needed to go ahead and work solely on the 1400 and then just blow everything up to the 1000 scale. So I think we're in a good shape here. I'm getting ready to plot some more stuff to block these colors on the engines, and maybe we'll make some good progress today. But I hear the cry. I hear there's just a lot of. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of excuses, but a lot of stuff happened this week that I had to stop and take care of, and I did not spend as much time on this as I wanted. So let's try to see if we can make up for a lot of that today. Alrighty, I think I'm actually ready to paint now. What we're seeing here is a black primed saucer. Over top of that, I've sprayed some German gray, the darkest gray, and it's behind this tape. This tape, or the masks, are masking off what I wish to keep the German gray. So the next step is to go over everything with a neutral gray. Once everything has gone over with a neutral gray, we've got more masks to add. Thank you. We've got more masks to add, which will protect the neutral gray. And then we will go over everything with a sky gray. And then the neutral gray, there are areas that will stay masked. And then that's when we will start putting in our Aztecs. But these are big block shapes that will always stay, that aren't necessarily Aztec. They are just big block shapes. Now, when I put the neutral gray down, and then when I go to put the lighter, I'll mask off like the remainders of the impulse engines. You'll see all of that. But the next step is to cover everything with a neutral gray now. So yay, we finally get to paint. Okay, the first coat is on, and I have to back up and change my mind on something. I'm allowed to do that. This is dark sea gray. This is not medium gray. This is dark sea gray. The medium gray, or I'm sorry, the neutral gray. This is not neutral gray. This is dark sea gray. The neutral gray is actually a little bluer than this, and I didn't want to go there. Plus, it's also a little darker. This is going to be a great base. So this is just the top. I'm going to let this dry, flip it over, do the bottom. But I need to move this off so that I can do other portions. I can do the secondary hull, and then maybe even blow the masks up and do the 1000 scale. But I need to move this off of the turntable. Okay, so the dark sea gray has been painted. The coat has been painted on all sides of the 1400 ship. So what I'd like to do now is move this off of my table and blow up these masks and do the same thing to the 1000 scale ship. And if all goes well today, I should be able to mask off the areas of this color and go with the lighter color. Alrighty, I've got the 1000 scale taped off, masked off exactly the same way as I had the 1400, and I am ready to put the dark sea gray coat over all of that. So I've got the window open, I've got the exhaust fan ready to go. Let's do some painting. Alright, so we're coming down to the end of it. It's Friday afternoon. I'm getting ready to close up for today, for the week. Ironically, I'm at that place where I really can't do anymore because I'm waiting for this gray coat to really set up, because it's going to take a lot of abuse with everything that's going to go on top of it. So what is left to do that I could spend some time on this week, because it's actually a little bit early on Friday afternoon. I could work a little bit more. So it came down to the last bits of construction. Well, now I don't really want to put the saucers on, because that's something I want to wait till the very, very end to do. And then, because of the way these nice panels are constructed, I can attach the saucer and then the underneath panel and kind of be done and get ready to put it on the base. So that leaves the only other bit of construction, which is to go ahead and put these U-shapes on, and the backs of the nacelles. I can put those in place. I can get that done this week, and that will be setting up over the weekend, and that will allow me to hit the ground running Monday, because the next step is to put the vinyl over the areas that I want to keep this particular color of gray, and then we could start doing the Aztecing layer. So we really kind of want to have these in place when we're doing all of that. I'll have to mask the sides of these off, which is not going to be that easy, but it's something that can be done. But that leaves the last bits for today of putting these pieces on. So let's go ahead and take care of those, and then we'll do some last bit of staging for the weekend. But I want you to see how totally light blocked these things are. If I put power to, let's just say, this one here, and this is the big one. Of course, you're going to see these because they're not light blocked at all, but I mean, look at that. The only bits you're seeing are the windows around where the vinyl is. That used to be one big glowing thing because it was translucent resin. But that black coat that we put on earlier really did the trick. And, well, you'll see. Trust me, when I put... I can't put light to all of these at the same time because I've only got one set of these. But we'll maybe try to darken down the room and see if you can see how well the light blocking is working. But let's get these last bits done, and then we'll call it a week. Okay, not that I'm stalling or anything, but I've come up with an idea that's going to take precedence over closing these up. And I had lit this up. I had put the U shape on the side. I had put that on top of it, and this down here I wasn't getting enough light at the tip. So I'm going to add a bulb there. I'm going to add a nano blue. I'm going to solder it to this strip light because I've got my positive and negatives available to me right there. And then I'm going to position it in this spot and tuck the wires back under there. So I'm going to do that on both sides. And then I'm going to close that up. I don't think we're going to have that problem on the smaller one, because if I'm remembering correctly, I did position the last bulb closer to the tip. I think we'll be okay. We'll have to see. That has smaller bulbs anyway, and I can't get to that to add any lights like I can here. So it may be a big mistake, but that's what I'm going to do. Alrighty, I've got the new one added back there, and you can see that when we close that up, we get a much better light down in the U. The only place it's blocked is right here where the resistor is. That gives kind of a weak spot from the outside. But I'm going to try to channel that one onto the inside so that when we put that one in, let's see, there you go. That's looking quite nice. Okay, let's just do that. Move this one into here and glue the U in, and then we'll glue these two tops down. Here's a thing of beauty and a joy forever. Got both of the secondary hulls, got them lit up. You can see I got lighting all the way out to the back on these guys, and adding the last light at the end really helped these. You're seeing light leaking around here, which is fine. That's where the windows are, but you don't see it. You see some on here on the windows, but you don't see it anywhere it's not supposed to be. Turn this light off and you can really see what's going on. Now what you're seeing here are windows. Not a problem whatsoever. Windows there as well. Those are going to be easier to pick out with an X-Acto than I had thought they were going to be, so I'm happy about that. So this is where we're going to leave these guys sit. Now I'm going to see if I can put both of the saucers together and light both of them up. And there's both of the saucers. Now you're not going to see anywhere near anything as flashy. We've got the blue light shining up below there, but you're not seeing anything that isn't a window or eventually going to be a window. Look at all that light blocking. You're not seeing any of the light coming through like we had before. Yay. And that brings us again to the end of this week's work on the Titan Prize. Now, like I said, I think I finished strong today, but I didn't get as much done this week as I had hoped. Sometimes life gets in the way. Had orders to fill, I had yards to mow, things like that. So I didn't get as much done, but it's summer, you're going to expect that. So, but where we are is we're in a really healthy spot for starting on Monday, because I got a lot of the brain work done. A lot of the brain work is done, and that just leaves the manual labor for next week. So I know where my masks are, I know what needs to be done, I know how to go about it. I've got the darkest area masked. I've got the medium color on now. Got to mask the medium and put the lightest colors on, and then we're off. So join us next week for the thrilling conclusion. I don't think it's going to take us any more than next week to do the actual Aztecing. Might even finish early, who knows. But then we've got the whole realm of decals to go. These are custom homemade decals, and we don't know exactly how well they're going to come out. So until the thrilling conclusion next week, y'all be safe, be smart, stay cool, be good to each other, and be back next week.